Hello, amazing people. Hope you all are doing great. You're welcome to another special episode of Get Impeccable with me, Precious Antin, your host. And as always, I am delighted to have you all with me. In this special episode, guys, it promises to be truly exceptional as amidst us we have a phenomenal lady, someone with great experience in mental and addiction counseling. She has several experience with that and she will be sharing her experience with us. She is indeed a phenomenal lady and we're going to give her the honor of telling us her name.
All right. Hello, viewers. As you've heard, I am the phenomenal lady. But on a serious note, my name is Zina Guru. I'm a counseling psychologist and I would also consider myself as a mental health advocate.
Thank you so much. Beyond her credibility as a mental and addiction psychologist, she has a remarkable skills of getting together with people. She's very phenomenal at this aspect. I'm using the word phenomenal because she's indeed phenomenal. We're so happy to have you here, Ms. Zina. And today we're going to have a very important but disturbing topic. It has to do with managing or coping with people with addiction and how we can help them overcome that. So we're going to have this enriching discussion. We're going to have several questions and it's going to be really information packed. So wait for it. Addiction has become increasingly common in our society, especially Africa as a whole. Taking, for instance, I'm reading some statistics here. We have in Africa, cannabis remains the most widely used illicit substance with prevalence rates ranging from 5.2 to 13.5% in West Africa and Central Africa. Additionally, amphetamine is ranked as the second, right? Second most widely used drug type in Africa. And let's just get to Kenya, like we've moved to Africa, let's slim it down to Kenya. Kenya alone has approximately 138,362 people struggling with drug use disorder, which is highlighting the growing concern, the very growing concern of, drug addiction or addiction on our continent. So sadly, some of us or some people choose to stay away from people feeling like, oh, this is a deviant. Oh, you're addicted, you're a deviant. And it gets really challenging in the society. So that's why we want to know, how can we cope with those suffering from addiction? How can we help them pass through this phase? Yeah. So we'll go through this and we're going to have our first question with you. How are you feeling for this?
I am feeling excited to be able to have this conversation. For sure, the issue of addiction is unfortunately still very rampant and present in our society today. So I'm very excited for this discussion and what insights it can be able to generate.
Thank you. I can feel the excitement. So right now, Ms. Zina, you've worked extensively with several addiction cases or addiction counseling.
Yeah.
So maybe can you share with us some moments that deeply impacted you in this field of addiction counseling?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, Precious.
My pleasure.
I'm super excited to be here.
Sure.
For sure, there have been so many moments in possibly the 10 plus years that I have been able to be in the space of counseling and addiction counseling. For me, the moment, or rather the moments that come to my mind are the moments where you have a client that you have worked with for quite some time, and many years after working with them, they still reach out and thank you for being able to work with them through that difficult time.
Yeah.
Why that stands out as to be something amazing is because the nature of counseling is that, rarely is it that you see the effects immediately, because behavior change is a process.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So long after you stop seeing someone, at times you may wonder, okay, did they really get help, and so on and so forth. So with the many that have been able to come back and say, you know what, thank you, I'm now much better. I now have made these changes,
Wow.
in my life.
Yeah.
That is so incredible.
It
Allow me
is.
to maybe give a more specific example.
Yeah.
There was a time I worked at a hospital, and patients come in and out from time to time.
Yeah.
Most of them would not stay for more than a month. But there was this particular client who had come in for basically like nicotine addiction and many other issues, and he stayed well past 1 month. And so in those interactions we kept talking and really highlighting how difficult it was for him to be able to do that. So he did actually reach out to me a few years ago, and was able to be like, thank you so much for standing with me. He's actually even been able to break free from the addiction.
Wow, that's powerful.
So such moments just really just warm my heart and just make me feel like, okay, I'm in the right space.
Yeah,
I'm in the right
in
space.
the right space, of course.
Yeah.
So get into it, because as a counselor, you've maybe gone through some training that enable you to help these people. But what are some misconceptions that people often have about addiction, about how do people perceive this, and how can you overcome that, the misconceptions?
Okay, cool. I believe the biggest of them all, or what I see is the biggest, is the misconception surrounding it to, or rather reducing it to an issue of willpower, or if only they can just wake up one day and stop. Or reducing it to something as such as like a personality issue. They're just easily swayed, or they just made a bad decision. Addiction is very complex, with biological implications when you talk about its impact on the brain and changing its chemistry. So reducing it to an aspect of it's just an issue of willpower, again, also changes the way in which we respond to someone who's addicted to a substance.
And I think I've also encountered this misconception of maybe genetics, or your father is a smoker, so you're a smoker, so, or your father was bad in alcohol, so you too, that's the same reason why you're so does it is it a misconception, or does it really happen?
Well, in terms of genetic predispositions, that is a big yes. However, we need to be, in fact, that's actually one of the biggest risk factors that would make anyone prone to addiction, a family history of addictions, whether it's, to alcoholism and so on and so forth. So with that is to be able to understand, being genetically predisposed does not automatically mean I'll go along that line. It's just for someone to be able to hopefully get to a point and make better decisions, having that knowledge and that insight, right? I can tell you for free, I know people who they know they come from a family history of alcoholism, and actually because of that make the result to never even take a sip, because for them they know the outcome can be definitely different. Yes. So in terms of genetic predisposition, yes, it does play a role.
I didn't know. I thought it was just assumptions. So does it mean drugs get to alternate with genetics or something?
Yes.
Yes. Whoa. I understand now. So means actually an addict also has to really be mindful of his upcoming generation.
Yes.
That's that's crazy.
The implications are actually far reaching, and that's why all the more reason to be able to just get a lot of knowledge and insight as to where am I coming from, what are some of my family history. My patterns, and so on and so forth.
Fact. So now thinking about addiction seeming to be a rising issue, especially amongst young people, looking at the Kenyan scenario or Africa. What do you think are the biggest driving factors? Why should people get to it, apart from maybe say genetics or whatever? So why would people get into
thank you. Especially when I think about young people, what's coming to my mind is socio-economic factors and the need to be able to make a living and survive basically on a day-to-day basis. We know the issue of joblessness is something that has affected, many youths out there,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And with that has also come issues to do with, so joblessness, so then someone becomes, hopeless, and so on and so forth. So I would rightly put it as social economic factors, as being one of the factors. Of course, we also talk about things to do with, just the role of the media and how some things are portrayed,
Facts.
right?
Yeah. The
And
media is a big issue currently.
Yes, yeah. And then of course we talk about happenings in the, in our day-to-day life, such as, political happenings, yeah. So, but I would put social economic factors as one of the, key things.
Key factors.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So like, how does this addiction affect not just the person but also the families? And I think you've mentioned, you've explained that, especially coming to genetics, or
Yeah.
your future generations also being affected. The community you are in is affected. So thinking about that, many people will feel that helpless, that okay, I'm dealing with a loved one battling with addiction.
Yes.
It just gets tiring because you get to talk, and maybe we're talking about addiction, but not just only drugs, like addiction generally. So what are some practical steps that they can take to offer support that doesn't seem authoritative? Because I've experienced this guy, he's addicted to a lot of games. So the game is,
Oh my
it's a very big
gosh,
addiction.
yeah.
It takes away his time, social, like he just wants to be alone with the gaming world.
Yes.
I feel that's also another addiction, right? So,
Yeah.
but the way maybe the people around him handle it is all about shouting, "You're useless in your life. You're not important," or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So there's some very valuable steps that these people, with people with addiction, not necessarily drugs,
Yes.
can assist them. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And thank you for bringing that point. Yes, addictions are not limited to substances, let's say, such as a drug. Nowadays we have activity addictions, such as gaming and so on and so forth, gambling, betting, and all that.
Yes.
We also have people addictions, such as relationship addictions. Yes.
That's relationship addiction?
Yes.
Really?
Issues to do with codependency and so on and so forth. Yeah. Then even work can be an addiction. Now we are spending way more time on our devices than ever.
Yeah.
So yes, so just to highlight, yes, beyond substances, there are, many other forms of addictions as well.
Oh.
Okay, now to answer your question, so how someone, a family or friend, can be able to support someone, I would say first and foremost, they should strive to get knowledgeable about addictions.
Yeah.
And even more specifically, what type of addiction their loved one is facing. I think one of the issues that has brought about challenges in response is not knowing much about their addiction and just knowing the impact it has on the individual as well.
Yeah.
So get armed with as much as information you can, which in essence will help to inform the kind of response to take. So that is number one. Number two, support can look like what we call an intervention. An intervention is basically just bringing people close to that person and being able to, staging a meeting and being able to explain to them, this is what is happening. It's been happening for too long. We've seen this impact happen to you like this. We don't want to continue like this. So this is us intervening, and this is kind of the help we want to get them. So that's another thing. It may be very hard. Maybe I should have begun with this point, but try as they may to respond with a lot of empathy and understanding. The first instinct is now this person
Again.
Did they not know? Did they not know? So responding in empathy and understanding is very, very critical, and be sure to maintain the communication lines open.
So I want to understand the aspect of communication lines open. I didn't get the context. I don't know if maybe the audience will, but maybe if you could clarify what you mean by communication lines open.
Good. So basically just trying to or rather strive to create a conducive atmosphere for the person to be able to open up to you
Oh, yes.
and share their concerns, which is very, very tricky because it's only, let me say, human to be upset at someone,
Yeah.
you know, or to feel frustrated, or even to feel tired. Like, oh my God, this is the 20th time we're dealing with this. Yeah, but
It's
very,
frustrating,
very
true.
critical. I also want to highlight, before I forget this point, to anyone caring for someone who is battling an addiction, it's very important that they take also good care of themselves.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
they can easily immerse themselves in the role of a caregiver and so on and so forth, to a point of neglecting their personal needs. So taking time to take care of themselves, which may also mean whether maybe giving handing out that responsibility to someone else, managing their stress and so on and so forth.
Powerful, yeah, because you know, when you feel like, no, this is my sister or my brother or my dad or mother in this kind of situation, you just feel entirely obliged to take full responsibility. And at some point you forget yourself. So there are certain points where I think there is the need for experts. So is there a point where we could know when, in fact, let the experts take over? Is there a point in time where we could know that?
Definitely there is, time and room and place for that. Normally what we normally see is just like a slow integration from the time. So you'll notice the changes bit by bit, whether they begin to get withdrawn or severe changes in their personality. I'm talking about like anger outbursts or so on and so forth, or even just health issues. When is the right time? I would say the moment you begin to notice some of these changes, it's time to call it in, you know. One may not go straight maybe to a doctor, maybe if it means, seeing a counselor and so on and so forth.
Powerful. So considering that for someone struggling with addiction who wants to recover, like I am the one struggling, I want to recover, but stuck, you feel like there's no way it's moving. So what's the first or the best first step that it can take?
I would put the first step as acceptance and acknowledgement. In fact, it actually reminds me of a quote that not everything that is faced changes, but nothing can change until it is faced.
Wow, right? Powerful.
So coming to that point of, I need help, all right? I'm even reminded of, we talk about the 12 steps in terms of addiction and recovery. And one of the major steps is admitting a powerlessness and a loss of control over a particular, substance. So admission is very, very critical.
It's critical.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's one of the steps. So acceptance and acknowledgement, reaching out to help, whether it be a friend, or we talk about the presence of addiction helplines, and some are actually even free, or going to a nearest healthcare facility and all that.
So first thing, acceptance. And so what role do you think, okay, if I've accepted and maybe I feel I need to get to therapy, so what role do you think like does therapy play in addiction recovery, and how can individuals find the right mental health resources? Because it's sometimes it even gets challenging to like, what resource can I even get to, where, who, or so
let me start with the role of the professionals. So they come in, or that we come in terms of helping an individual be able to identify, how did I get here? What are some of, talking about the cause, the causing factors, right? Then we also move to a supportive aspect in terms of helping them identify things such as triggers and what they can be able to do to prevent those triggers. It's kind of like basically just offering support in that in that regard. We also come in terms of, remember, addiction, just as you've put it, it affects not only an individual but also the families. And at times this does actually bring strain to family relationships, and you find people not talking to each other, people fighting and all that. And we also come in and also offer family therapy, and in a way that is also we're trying to restore, isn't it? So just being able to restore the individual back to their family system.
Phenomenal. That's amazing. Talking about aspects of future addiction recovery, if you as an expert in counseling and addiction counseling, if you could like change one major aspect of how addiction is handled in a society, in a family, or by an individual, what would it be?
That is deep. That is deep. I'm tempted to say, I already mentioned the issue to do with willpower and it being reduced to that, but I'm thinking about legislation. All right, this in regard to some of the laws and policies that are in place. I am extremely, I feel extremely happy and confident that a lot of work is being done. In fact, just recently on the news here in Kenya, I saw that they were doing a ban in terms of nicotine. So that is coming up a bit strongly. So in a way, being able to reinforce to reinforce that. Then I'd also go back to a family level. How can we strengthen the family unit? Right? As a preventative, factor, or not even preventative. I meant to say as a protective factor.
Protective. Okay.
Yes, because you see, when we talk about what are some of the reasons that would potentially make someone go into addiction and drug abuse and so on and so forth, these are issues from, you'd not miss occurrence of issues from the family level, whether it's issues to do with abandonment and so on and so forth, right? So if we can strengthen the family unit, I believe that would go a very, very long way in reducing some of, especially the issues of addiction.
Powerful.
We need strong families. We need to be able to go back to creating systems of even accountability, where you can even look at somebody, they may not be your son or your daughter, but feel the conviction to be able to reach out.
I love that point, because I wanted to just have the last follow up on that, because thinking of like, there are some people who don't maybe have these biological families per se, so even the friends they form can serve as a family for them at that time. So even as psychologists, I think you guys get to look into the friends they have, right? Because that's also very important. Because I even know a couple of people who are closer to their friends and their family, the biological family. So that plays a long way to like protective.
We cannot definitely miss out on friends. We also talk about even organizations, whether it's religious, institutions and so on and so forth, schools.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Zina, for the powerful one. In fact, round of applause, please. It's really amazing. Those insights you gave us right now, I feel like everyone watching, every audience listening right now has taken a lot from you, and it goes a long way to not just end with that person, but to the next person they'll be helping with, or whoever is suffering right now has found hope right here through your words. And I'm so grateful. So as usual on Get Impeccable, what we always do is to like have you have maybe a few words of empowerment, like your last words of empowerment for this episode to the audience, and directing towards the audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
What words of empowerment would I give? So once again, thank you so much, Precious, for this amazing opportunity. I've had so much fun.
Oh, my honor.
Okay, good. And to the Get Impeccable audience, I think I'll leave you with something to do with self-improvement and self-growth. It's amazing the things that we can achieve once we let go of the barriers that we set on ourselves. So let us strive to always improve, all right? If I keep on saying this is just how I am, then that's just how I always will be. But when I'm willing to move away from a version or a system that I've been so used to, but it's not working for me, then real growth and transformation can occur. So let's strive to move and let's strive to grow. Thank you so much.
Powerful. In fact, in summary, leave the ordinary. Strive for the extraordinary. Don't go with the common things. Don't go with the usual. I'm usually average. It gets you get to realize your full potential when you think beyond the limit. When you see the skies, but you're not seeing the sky, but you're looking into space. Okay, and that's a very powerful one. Again, thank you so much. I don't know how to say thank you, but for real, I'm so honored to have you in this space. And I've learned a lot myself. And I feel like this knowledge I've gotten, I will really go a long way to help a lot of people. So if you're out there and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, you haven't liked, you haven't shared, what are you waiting for? Please also drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know your experience with coping with addiction. Well, it's either being the victim or the affected. Let's know what's your experience with addiction and what do you think are the possible ways of what do you think are the possible ways of handling addiction? All right, thank you so much, Ms. Zuna. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. I can just
amazing.
Thank you so much, and let's get your experience. Keep liking, keep sharing, and remember, get impeccable for year. See you all. Bye.
Bye.